Hello and welcome to 5 Minutes with Sean, maybe 10. Today I would like to talk with you about turnover. In our industry, it is obviously one of the biggest things plaguing us today is turnover. Not only because it's expensive to turn over, was fortunate enough to be at an event recently and really hear a few different speakers talk on the matter. And basically, it sounds like it ranges from about $40,000 to $60,000 per employee turned over. That is not something that ever shows up on your statements. It is a real number that exists kind of out in space as we turn over our employees. Now, having grown up in the Chicago car business, turnover is just as obvious as waking up and taking a breath. It isn't something that a lot of people consider to be out of whack. We have one group here in the Midwest that seems like they have 100% turnover over a 90-day period. That's all of their staff from general manager on down. Those sorts of practices, frankly, are archaic and need to go away. It is, first of all, it's extremely expensive, right? So we talked about, let's just call it $50,000 a human. On top of that, let's look at lost training costs, right? Let's look at why does turnover happen? I'll give you a few ideas why turnover happens. One, culture. Trust me, I hate the word. I think it's silly, but it's a reality in today's world. 2, the hours. 3, the pay plan. 4, the managers. 5, the unrealistic expectations. And I will stop it there just for sake of discussion because I believe that is enough to drive home my point on the topic. Guys, we have to address this. We have to keep people tight. I will tell you this. I worked for a group in Colorado, and after I had left, not on the greatest of terms, the next time I had seen them was years later, and they had said to me, Sean, things changed the day you left. We kind of stopped, took a look at ourselves in the mirror, looked at our culture, looked at what we were doing, and we wanted to ensure that we wouldn't lose top-rate employees. Now, today, it's one of the best privately held groups in the U.S. probably, but definitely in the Western states. So when we look at that, we talk about culture, and we talk about having the right people. Turnover is really a big measure of the game. And not only is turnover expensive, but my gosh, rehiring or hiring in general has become extremely difficult. There are companies out there now to help you with that. Some of it is based in kind of turning humans into analytics, which to me gets a little bit concerning. Again, using the Moneyball description of analytics and human eyeballs, I believe it to be a very important part of the discussion. So if we can give them a test to see their aptitude or see how they fit with our team, that's one thing, but I can't solely base it on that. That's just me. I may be old school that way. I just cannot make a hire based on a bottom line number coming out of a test, turning that human being into a metric. I certainly have a tougher time even applying that metric to existing employees and firing them based on pass or failure to that number. Now, that is not exactly what people are saying, but it is certainly the roundabout way that they are describing it. So when you look at your hiring practices, let's take a step back and say, well, why do we have the turnover that we have? Remember, we talked about a few things. I think hours being number one, especially trying to consider the millennial. Again, you guys know I hate the term, but I'm trying to relate the discussion to today's topic. Millennials will not work these hours. They will not work for variable pay. They don't like to be yelled at. These are things that today are very much a part of our culture. So we must change how we approach our salespeople to an extent. Because yes, there's always room for telling someone about their improvement, but there's no reason, and every place I've ever worked has been guilty of this, except for the first place I ever worked in Chicago. Friday and Saturday meetings should be extremely, extremely positive. I see turnover happens a lot on Saturday nights because people are pissed off about their weekend. They blow out. That's it. They're done. That's if you're closed on Sundays. Then perhaps if you're not closed on Sundays here in the United States, then you deal with that. I've been fortunate enough to be in states that are always closed on Sundays. So this isn't my background, right? This turnover hiring practices forte. But I have been in these stores my whole life, and what I will tell you is extremely valuable is Friday and Saturday meetings that get people excited. Even if you're a GM or sales manager who's pissed off, you need to put it aside for Friday and Saturday, and you need to ramp up your teams. Executive management. I would like you to think about this. If you are someone who's turned over 10 salespeople before you've turned over one manager, ask yourself why that is. If you look at sports as an example, and I'm a huge sports nut, those of you who have been listening have heard that about me. What you typically find in sports is that general managers and managers will be turned over far more frequently than that of entire teams. Why is that? Well, first of all, most of these places have unions, so it makes it a little bit harder. But second of all, the guy who's most responsible at the end of the day for putting the team together is the GM. If the team fails on the field, it's the manager's fault. That's what I want you to take a step back and look at. Where and how are your managers handling this discussion? Are they a part of the problem or are they a part of the solution? Managers can tend to be just as shitty as salespeople. So we have to investigate both sides of the argument. Are you doing interviews on exit interviews on salespeople? Or are you just saying, you know what, salesman, blowout, give me your, if you have a demo, great, give me back your plate. Otherwise, clean out your desk and roll. Is that what's happening here? Truly? Because if it is, you need to take another look. You need to take another look. Look at your pay plans. Is it 100% commission? Today's human being really doesn't get it. I get it. I understand it. But it's not something most people are doing. Some people think that we need to be starting to give salespeople like different levels so they can always be constantly promoted, constantly attaboyed, constantly feeling good about themselves. So we need to have a trainee. And then we need to have a sales associate 1, sales associate 2, sales associate 3. I get it. I do. We're trying to put that corporate mentality on small to medium-sized businesses, which is difficult. Those of you that own 1, 2, 3, 4 stores, this is going to be difficult for you to wrap your head around because you need salesmen to improve every single day. No matter what, you can't afford for them to go backwards, and you don't necessarily think they deserve a promotion every time they sell 10 cars. But it's true. Is the pay plan for the 1 to 5 car the same as the 10 to 20 car guy? If so, it needs to be changed. It needs to be varied. It needs to be more specific to that individual's skill set. To that, I agree. But, you know, it's going to be difficult for you guys to change culture overnight. So do it a step at a time. But look at everyone in the equation. Just don't look at one side or the other. Now, I appreciate you guys having listened to me today about this. Kind of step up on my soapbox about it because I've heard so much about it. And it's something that I've seen, obviously, throughout my entire life in this industry. I want to see this industry continue for another 100 years. So we need to get these things cleaned up, and we need to do it now. That's my opinion. So, as always, thank you for listening. You can reach me, 262-278-0157. That's text and or phone calls to that number. Always be answered by yours truly. Email Sean, SEAN, at carbizdonebetter.com. Social media, you can find me personally. I am always all over LinkedIn. It's a great place for professionals and people in our industry. Other than that, any other social postings you see are from our corporate team. Not necessarily me, but if you want to reach me directly, pick up that phone and give me a call. Otherwise, I hope this helps you. If you have anything else you'd like to comment on, let me know. Have a great day.